Prospera Place, everybody. I'm Chris Wiggins. The first home game played outside of the Lower Mainland for these Vancouver Bandits, and boy, they picked a great time to do it and give these fans an awesome show. Fresh off a 3-game road trip to Ontario, very positive, big wins over Niagara and Brampton. Meanwhile, Saskatoon on the other end of the floor, sporting their own new swagger and a familiar face in Tevian Jones, also coming off big wins against Winnipeg and Scarborough. This community is basketball hungry. They're ready for a great game tonight. Should be a good one as we send it across the floor to the two calling tonight's action. It's Cheryl, John Paul, and Andrew Savory. Guys.
Thanks so much, Chris. Cheryl, packed house, nearly 5,000 strong, and more to come here at Prospera Place. This is a quarter-season rematch. Obviously, these two teams opened the season against each other. It was a 124-95 victory for the Bandits, but as Chris alluded to, Tevian Jones switching jerseys, Devontae Bandu, a longtime member of the Saskatoon faithful, now making his debut tonight. What's sticking out to you tonight? They're on a 2-game winning streak in the Mamba. Bandits coming off a loss.
Well, you look at the CEBL, the nature of the beast when it comes to this league, and we really can't speak a ton to the previous matchup. I think both these teams have gone through a lot over the last few games. Saskatchewan coming into this game with a little bit more confidence. So nice to get that 0 out of the loss or the win column. But with the Bandits, again, road trip. Technically, this is a home road trip. We'll talk about that with the Keys, but you know, really being able to feed off the energy of this K-Town crowd. So really looking forward to an adopted group of home fans, that's for sure.
And Chris, joined now by Bandits head coach and GM Kyle Julius. What do you got for us, Chris?
Coach, 4th game in about 7 days. Tons of travel for you guys. How do you make sure the energy is where it needs to be right from the jump tonight?
Yeah, we've just been talking about it, trying to rest the guys as much as possible, try to manage them, talk to them about how they feel. I think it's like 8 out of 11 nights in a hotel now for us, but to be honest, you know, enthused to be here. This is amazing. Very grateful to our front office for putting the hard work into making this happen. I mean, you look in here, it's absolutely packed. It feels like home. We're excited.
Dre Davis out tonight with injury. How does that mix up your bigs rotation?
Yeah, it's been tough. Dre's important to us. We haven't had him for 3 games now, so yeah, everybody's just got to step up and we got to get creative.
Okay, should be a good one tonight. Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, there is head coach of the Vancouver Bandits, Kyle Julius. Andrew, back to you.
Thanks so much, Chris. Bandits looking to get back in the win column tonight. Don't go anywhere, folks. You're watching the debut of CEBL basketball live here in Kelowna. You're watching CEBL basketball live on CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CEBL Plus.
Welcome to a new CEBL season.
It's been amazing, Canada basketball, to put that platform and give guys an out.
The crowds were bigger, the players got better, the quality of the game got better.
You gotta love it, Canadian hoops.
Fasten your seatbelt tonight because we're gonna have some high energy and some high flying stuff.
This is a trail, this is the real, and all that I gotta say. I'm in my zone.
No shortage of emotion, no shortage of intensity as anticipated.
What a block from behind.
You don't just fuel your body, you fuel your drive. We're not here to preach hustle. We're here for the ones who show up. You know who you are. The moms who make mornings feel like magic. The runners lacing up before the scroll. The dreamers writing it down before it's real. And we're here for you. Real fruit, real fuel. Booster Juice. Fuel for what's next.
What keeps me going? Under the heat of the sun or in the heat of the moment. When climbing for even one more second seems like too much. Whether you're reaching for your goal or busy setting new ones, everyone hits their limit, but that limit has a reset. Scientifically formulated to hydrate faster in the moments that matter. Electrolyte, instant hydration.
Cheryl, you've outlined a few keys to watch for both sides for the visiting team, the Saskatoon Mamba.
Well, with Saskatoon Mamba here against the Vancouver Bandits, 3 keys to the game: get to the glass. It's an area that the Bandits have struggled with, but it's also been a strength, obviously, with the Saskatoon Mamba, second in the league with 12 rebounds offensively. Inside presence, having to find a way to manage Tyrese Samuel today without Jaden Bediako, especially because Samuel has had some of his career high games against this franchise. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to him, and obviously contain the big. Jaden Bediako for the Bandits, just to kind of talk about their keys to the game. Efficiency wins, needing to get the job done on offense, but not letting your opponent have the same success. Home on the road, we know this is a little bit of a challenge being on the road for another home game, but we know the Bandits can find their way through this great early adversity to see what they're made of in the season. And obviously, with Jaden Bediako gone, their job is to manage what happens in the key. So whether that's a smaller big moving well off the basketball, they're going to have to figure out some solutions to handle the high percentage finishes that they've been giving up to their opponents.
I like that you talk about the absence of Jaden Bediako, of course, out tonight. And as we look at the starting lineups, we were talking about it, a former member, current member, I should say, of the Saskatchewan Huskies, Easton Tim, getting a second start this year for the Saskatoon Mamba. You have Trey Townsend, Tavian Dunmartin, Devontae Bandu, a former Bandit, didn't dress, played for a few CBL teams, but known very well in Saskatchewan. Easton Tim, Tevian Jones, 2 games with Vancouver, now repping the Venom Green for the Mamba. And for the Bandits, Tyrese Samuel, Dwayne Notice, Michael Mulder, Miller Kopp, and Jalen House. A formidable cast for both teams. And Cheryl, as we look at both squads, your player to watch tonight for the Mamba.
Well, looking at sometimes some of the challenges the Bandits have had this season, playing that small guard, you know, Tavian Dunmartin, player averaging 20 points a game. And as we saw a few weeks ago, Gilliard II provided some massive problems for the Bandits being able to score 35 in their home court. So that's definitely something that the Bandits are have to key on, how they manage some of those defensive rotations to allow the starters to do what they do.
And for Vancouver, another crafty guard in Jalen House, your player to watch.
Well, 25, almost 26 points a game. More importantly, the 11 assists that he does to create for his teammates. One of the things that we, are learning about some of these teams and rotations, they're so close. Coach Julius has said they're so close to being that team. Very high scoring offense right now. The challenge is, what do they have to do on the defensive side of things? So we're going to see if House can also be a leader. Former defensive player of the year for his conference in college, so we know he can get the job done. It's going to be interesting to see who steps up to lead what they have to do defensively.
As we get ready for tip-off here, you talk about stepping up. Dwayne Notice inserted into the starting lineup tonight for David Mutabazi. What potentially happened on that road trip? Why do we see a veteran like Dwayne Notice coming in tonight for Vancouver?
Well, some of the challenges are, exactly what the coaching staff are looking for, whether it's some of the offensive, David Mutabazi is the athlete that they need at times, but younger players sometimes don't foresee the defensive rotations. And so, Dwayne Notice has been so solid coming off the bench for them. So we'll see if he can still provide what he's been doing. Obviously, that last game, Mutabazi played about 6 minutes in that game, and other players came in. We also have to understand with the CBL, for fans watching at home, is that the domestic international matchups, making sure that they have, those 2 or 3 players on the floor. Sometimes coaches have to move things around to make sure that maybe they want Mutabazi to come off the floor for one of the bigs instead of starting on the lineup. So it'll be interesting to see what the rotations look like until Dre Davis is able to return from injury.
Hoping for a speedy recovery. We hear it's a sprained ankle, hopefully not too long, recovering, of course, as the teams take the court. Vancouver repping the black and orange home jerseys, of course, tonight, a neutral site game. And we also have the Venom for Saskatoon Mamba. And tonight's tip-off presented by Spalding, the official game ball of the CEBL. Spalding, a founding partner of the CEBL, and the game ball through and through here in year 7 for the CEBL. Bandits in their pre-game huddle. Jalen House leading the charge, leading scorer, top assist getter for this squad. Taking the center court, tonight's officials, crew chief Tanner Servo, joined by Reed Scott and Matt Goebel. That Venom Electric Green, a newly debuted jersey this year for the Saskatoon Mamba, rebranded from the Saskatchewan Rattlers. Easton Tim on the tip against Tyrese Samuel, off and running. Here we go, first time ever pro basketball live from Kelowna at Prospera Place. House dancing, gets right to the rim. Jalen House, too easy. That's house money early, Cheryl.
Straight to the rim. You know, one of the things that I saw in the Ottawa game is how often teams are giving up that right hand straight and strong layup. I mean, when you're the home team, you love to see it. When you're the home opponents or the other team, maybe you're like, come on, guys. Did we just give that up right away?
Speaking of almost giving up, a good defense from Vancouver. Tevian Jones misses point blank. Off and running. Mulder, heat check. He's got it. Mike Mulder. They've been searching for his offense. Is tonight the night, Cheryl?
Mulder knocking down the first three is something that we've seen a few times. We have a little bit of an injury issue here. There was a little bit of a tangle up on the baseline. Jalen House has come off. Not a great sign for them. Just getting checked out, quickly going to the locker room. Joyner stepping in quite quickly, and so automatically that changes the dynamic of this game.
House, a quick bucket. We'll try to get an update for you from Chris. Reese at the top to Notice. Into the starting lineup, right to the cup. Dwayne Notice, right around Townsend, strong start.
You know, you asked one of the reasons why Dwayne Notice has moved into the starting lineup. Just the ability to recognize what's happening and obviously being able to create for himself. He's done such a great job of receiving really good corner threes. We've seen that a few times. Great to see him use that back screen Spain action to get to the rim.
Here's Tim. Stolen away by Notice, active hands, the veteran. $15 to work for Reese. Right down to Coquihalla. Tyrese Samuel, too easy in the paint. Quick 9-0 start for Vancouver. Corner three, Townsend. Too short. Nice D getting back was Tim. Here's Tevian Jones, the former Bandit. Bandu, repping number 10. Takes the hand check from Mulder. This group for the Mamba, led by first-year head coach in the CEBL, Isaiah Fox, lead associate coach with the Salt Lake City Stars, coming in from the G League. Dunn-Martin. 8 to work. Has the mismatch right by Samuel Fader. Cans it. Tavian Dunn-Martin. Crafty.
No, that's been an interesting matchup issue that the Bandits have had throughout this season, is feeling confident that they can make that switch. Great pick and roll read there, Cop to Samuel. But on the defensive side of things, with the small and the big, being able to manage this matchup, the guards are really just allowing him to gap, getting to that outside mid-range. And again, this is something that they're probably used to, being undersized guards to start off with. Almost had him on that way. And again, with Samuel, he doesn't have to back up and play big. Look at his ability. He's mobile. He can really get into their space on that one. So a much better defensive response to that previous mid-range jumper that just happened on the previous. So we now have the score, 11-2. Saskatchewan finding some rhythm here on offense. Coach Kyle is really wanting them to push the tempo. Timing is a little bit off right now, but that's a good shot.
Samuel been working on that three so far to start this season. Bandu point blank. Has to kick it back out. That's going to be over and back. Turnover forced from Vancouver. In tonight's game, the second of 4 meetings between these two teams this year. Like we said, May 14th, 29-point win for Vancouver. Another Western Conference tilt, and this year the Western Conference presented by Cal Tire. Tonight's game, a Western Conference tilt, courtesy of Cal Tire. Here's Joyner. Step back. Too strong.
No, we've talked about seeing these lineups, Joyner and House on the floor together, and then kind of going back and forth between the two. Both explosive guards. Joyner, his ability to play make, maybe not. He likes to play. Like, one of the things that they talked about is being able to maintain the speed when either or of the guards are on the floor. So we'll see what he does to get others the touches that they need for this team, high-scoring offense, to do what they have been doing the last several games. 100-plus points, whether it's a win or a loss. But again, the last time that they played Saskatchewan scored 95 points. They just themselves couldn't find a way to defend towards the end of that game. So it'll be interesting to see what strategies both teams as they feel each other out a little bit here with some obviously last-minute roster changes. Bediako out for Saskatchewan. House, you know, we'll see if we see him yet tonight again.
Mulder, 2 for 2 from deep. Mike Mulder off to a hot start. Isaiah Fox, head coach for the Mamba, wants to talk it over. And we're going to head to a break as Vancouver up 14, up 16-2 early here in the first quarter. You're watching CBL Hoops live on CBC Sports, CBC Gem, and CEBL Plus.
To a new CEBL season.
It's been amazing, Canada basketball, to put that platform and give guys an out.
The crowds were bigger, the players got better, the quality of the game got better.
You gotta love it, Canadian Hoops.
Fasten your seatbelt tonight because we're gonna have some high energy and some high flying stuff.
This is a trail. This is for real. Ain't nothing I gotta think. I'm in my town.
No shortage of emotion, no shortage of intensity as anticipated.
You don't just feel your body, you feel your drive.
Savory, I'll come back.
We're not here to preach hustle. We're here for the ones who show up. You know who you are. The moms who make mornings feel like magic. The runners lacing up before the scroll. The dreamers writing it down before it's real. And we're here for it. Real fruit, real fuel. Booster juice. Fuel for what's next.
What keeps me going? Under the heat of the sun or in the heat of the moment. When climbing for even one more second seems like too much. Whether you're reaching for your goal or busy setting new ones, everyone hits their limit, but that limit has a reset. Scientifically formulated to hydrate faster in the moments that matter. Electrolyte, instant hydration.
Welcome back to Prospera Place in Kelowna. The Bandits up big early in this first quarter. Despite basketball taking up most of his life these days, head coach of the Vancouver Bandits, Kyle Julius, is actually a massive hockey fan. He told me before the game, his first love, he said, "Chris, I'm a huge hockey guy. I was born and raised in Thunder Bay. We used to take road trips to Winnipeg to catch the Jets. Hockey's in my blood. I love the culture. I love everything about it. Love the players, guys fighting for each other, protecting each other. Guys are doing anything to win out there." While in Kelowna a couple of months ago, before the start of the CEBL season, with meetings with the city of Kelowna, coach attended a Kelowna Rockets game right here at Prospera Place. He said there was a fight within the first 45 seconds. Now, if you know Kyle Julius, you know very well, it's well documented, that guy loves to share fights and big hits on social media. Guys, I think they knew he was here back in January. We'll send it back to you.
Gotta love it, Cruz. It's that grit and grind that you're talking about. Coach Julius loves it on the ice, loves it on the hardwood even more. Hoping for that mentality here tonight with Vancouver. Dwayne Notice dials it, can't convert. Here's Jones. Takes contact from Parolin. He's going to go to the line. First free throw opportunity of the night for either squad. Tevian Jones, 2 games with the Bandits. one of which was against the Mamba. Came back from that road swing, didn't suit up at home, got released from Vancouver. He's played one game so far for the Mamba. It was a win and could be a key piece of the puzzle going forward for this Mamba team, Cheryl.
Well, he was definitely a piece for the Bandits in that game against Saskatchewan, obviously one of the top scorers. And so it's going to be interesting for him to go from being loved by the fans to getting the same type of energy going the other direction. So, you know, again, longer guard / small forward. You know, the CEBL has so many of these interesting positional players where they've had to try to figure out how to fit into this league, what their teams need from them. You know, we see Joyner now showing some really good play action with Parolin, which is maybe something that a few more games they've been able to generate some better energy. So we'll see kind of what type of scoring looks so far. We talked about the inside threats. Right now we have Harding again. Mismatch, maybe not. Miller trying to find the way to get the job done on whatever matchup that he has, and I think that's what coach has been asking them, is to find a way to find that grit on the defensive side of things. Obviously, very high-scoring offense, but giving up a lot of points as well.
That's going to stick. No, it's going to go the other way, back to the Mamba. Chris, you've been around both huddles. What do you got for us?
Just an update on Jalen House. He went down earlier this quarter with an ankle injury. Trainers have been looking at him. He's going to give it a go. They're going to feel it out. So we'll see, hopefully, Jalen back on the floor very soon. But it was his ankle, and he is going to give it a go. Guys.
We'll be keeping an eye on that ankle for sure. Vancouver already down one of their key rotation players in Dre Davis. Can't afford to lose House.
Well, you know, one of their challenges, too, is that with a few more days at home over the next week, their next game is June 13th. So there is some time to rest and recover. You know, with an 18-3 lead right now, what they have to decide is...
one. Jarkel Joyner and the tee to boot. You can see got right in the face of Mahdi.
You know, it's interesting. Coach, my bad, I got sucked into that. I think essentially what he was trying to... just got swept up in the moment.
Had the steal, the strip. He's going to head to the line now. Jarkel Joyner averaging around 18 a night. A couple of great social media highlight reel clips. You can follow and catch them all. If you haven't become familiar with this game, follow the CEBL at CEBL League on all social platforms. Stay up to date on storylines, standouts, stats, and more for all 10 teams in Canada's Pro Basketball League. Jarkel has a ton of highlights on IG. You can catch him there, waiting to take his and one free throw here. But it's neutralized by the technical.
Yeah, so no free throws being taken. Back into play right away. Dunmartin has the longer Mulder into this switching action.
Nice pass inside, missing point blank. Here's Mulder. Out to John Knight III. Kick back out. Joyner from deep. That one's from Beachland, folks. Welcome to the Okanagan. Jarkel. Rare miss at the rim from Dunmartin.
These are the scoring looks that the Mamba need to finish. You're not necessarily going to get 2 or 3 more looks, especially with Bediako, your best offensive rebounder, not able to play today. So these high percentage finishes need to be one and dones for them. Settle in, keep getting the same type of scoring looks off of some of these switches.
Chaplin, right past Cobb. Nice drive from Chaplin. Vancouver still up large, 23-5 as House prepares to check back in. Mulder, can he make it 3 in the quarter? He can! Mike Mulder unconscious right now with 9 points in the first. Looking to stop the bleeding. Here's Dunmartin. Nice stopping on a dime. Gets the Mamba back on the board. Delay of game to the Mamba as Tim's going to check back in, as will House and Notice. Hey folks, this year Cal Tire is a proud partner and tire expert of the CEBL. Shop top tire brands and have peace of mind with Cal Tire's price match guarantee. Shop and book at caltire.com. Vancouver up 19. John Knight III suiting up in this one on the court right now. Here's Reese, right past Tim. Tons of contact, going to go to the line for 2.
You know, if you're Tim's, you're just maybe asking yourself, how did I get into this situation? You know, one great thing about the CBL, we talk about developmental players, the ability for university athletes to go up against 905 players who have had some NBA summer camp experience. Obviously, we see the G League influence. You know, from a coaching perspective, Isaiah Fox, and in terms of a lot of the players on the rosters here. So he's going to have to figure this out from the perspective of they're going to keep going to that if he cannot handle that matchup. And obviously we talked about Samuel has had a great reputation of scoring big against this team.
Chaplin nails it right when the Mamba need it. Coach Fox telling his team to D up, get wide, get big. House, bounce pass inside to Notice. 10 to work. Jalen House. Tough one, little up and under, gets his own offensive rebound. Jalen House, that ankle's looking just fine, Cheryl. And that's a delay of game warning if I ever saw one. Jalen House feeling himself after that O-board.
You know, first few possessions, he's playing off of 2 feet, just making sure, you know, a little bit of that heat check to make sure his ankles are ready to go, and he seems ready to go.
Saskatoon down 19. Foul on the floor. Vancouver, a high-scoring first quarter. The offense has been there this year, the top-scoring team in the league. But talking to Coach Julius at Shoot, and Cheryl, we were talking about throughout this week, it's the defense and the woes in the defensive end that have been uncharacteristic for this group. So far, only allowing 10 points in this first quarter. Jalen Williams, nice touch off glass.
You know, if you look at the history of how they've been scoring throughout this season, they've been able to score solid every single quarter, 20, 30, 35 points per quarter, but not going on a ton of very long scoring runs. So, you know, when you're looking at 5 to 7 point scoring runs, that means that your opponent is still finding ways to catch up, even when it seems like this is an unsurmountable task. And so that's going to be one of their challenges moving forward, is to find that defensive rhythm, to not give up big scoring runs. Right now, the Mamba haven't hit massive shots. They're just becoming more patient inside. You saw that with Dunmartin, just kind of moving around a little bit. Steve Nash, until someone, you know, fades away a little bit. Easy scored the basket inbound, some of those mid-range type of shots. So they're not going to come at you with power. They're not going to try to match that. But if you're going to give up some of those easier scoring looks, this is how another team can inch back into this.
Someone to keep an eye on certainly is Jalen Williams for the Mamba. Big minutes last year with Winnipeg. Here's Reese. Step back on Tim. Bit short. Vancouver, can they get a stop to end this quarter? Nice pass inside to Tim. Too easy. Dunmartin threading the needle. Leads down to 14. Shot clock turned off. House, pull up. Offside rim. Wouldn't have counted if it went. Vancouver up 14. Strong start to the first quarter, 29-15 over the Mamba. Tons of CBL hoops left to go. Don't go anywhere, folks. You're watching CBL basketball live on CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CEBL Plus.
What keeps me going? Under the heat of the sun or in the heat of the moment. When climbing for even one more second seems like too much. Whether you're reaching for your goal or busy setting new ones, everyone hits their limit, but that limit has a reset. Scientifically formulated to hydrate faster in the moments that matter. Electrolyte, instant hydration.
Let's bring it on. It's game time. It's showtime.
Welcome back to Kelowna, British Columbia, live from Prospera Place for the first time ever. CBL basketball, Vancouver Bandits versus the Saskatoon Mamba. Andrew Savory on the call alongside Cheryl Jean-Paul and Chris Wiggins. Vancouver up 14. Trying to hold on to this one. The Mamba starting to find a rhythm, but here's Miller Kopp. Hit in front rim. Mamba starting to pick away at this lead, Cheryl.
Well, you know, starting the quarter 16-2, first few minutes, feeling the rhythm. All of a sudden, 13-12 is kind of that last 3 or 4 minute stretch. Bandits still leading, but Saskatchewan obviously making a dent in this game. So they're starting to figure some things out. Oftentimes what happens on the road, you just need a little bit more time to get situated. So now all of a sudden, here we go.
Nice pass inside. Dwayne Notice on the bounce to Tyrese, gonna head to the line for two. Tyrese, fresh off of a big announcement, signing in D1 France. Gonna head there after the CBL season, a big step in his career, a globally recognized league. And hey folks, if you're loving the jerseys that you're seeing, black and orange from Vancouver, the Venom electric green from the Mamba as Reese hits the first. New Era makes these jerseys, and they're the exclusive game uniform partner of the CEBL and all 10 of its teams from coast to coast. Pick up your official New Era replica jerseys now by visiting CEBL.ca as Tyrese goes 2 for 2 from the line. Dunmartin going to work. Has to kick it. Fuller, first-year pro out of LIU. Back rim, rebound batted around. John Knight, right to the rim. That's going to be a charge against John Knight III. Searching for minutes. We haven't seen him since that first of two.
No, Jamal Fuller
You got him to the
that
spot.
one up. I think it was a, it could have gone either way on that one. You know, he made a life choice there, taking that one, which he might need to recover a little bit from. It's like a linebacker.
Possession stays with Vancouver. I stand corrected. Like we were saying, Cheryl, Coach Julius playing with these rotations and clearly going to John Knight III tonight instead of David Mutabazi so far.
Well, and not only that, we've typically seen the two big lineup with Parolin and Samuel. This obviously with these lineups is maybe not the team that they want to try that up against. But again, you know, sometimes you get frustrated as a coach when you have a plan that you think you're going to follow and then the game doesn't allow you to do that. But it also allows them to see some things that maybe they hadn't tried out yet. You know, obviously Dwayne Notice in the earlier parts of the season has done a great job coming off the bench, doing what he needs to do. David Mutabazi, similar to last season, stepped in early when they needed him for the beginning part of the season. And as we saw some of these other pros coming in, you know, his role did change. But it's also the type of younger players that Kyle Julius loves to keep around his program. Guys that work hard, great attitude, willing to learn. And obviously there's a lot of talent that he has to figure out. And we're not even talking about the players that are here. You know, there's also other names that are kind of coming up in conversation. So it's going to be interesting to see what this looks like.
Well, Julius, you could see it calling to Tanner Servo, wanted the over and back. The Mamba miss from three, and here's Knight III right back to the rim. Loses at the last second. Tyrese says, I got you, fella.
I know they have flames in this gym, but the flames didn't go up. You know, I'm sure our LEC fans are wanting to see it on the road too.
Lots of season ticket holders making the trip. Love to see it. The road trip from Langley to Kelowna. Tevian Jones misses. And for fans who are unfamiliar, Langley to Kelowna, probably, what do you call it, Cheryl? 4.5 hours-ish?
Are you, how many stops are you making? 3.5. I did it actually this morning. I had a practice at the Langley Events Center with the Basketball VCU 15 provincial team and headed over here after our morning session. And so beautiful drive, K-Town, great basketball, Hoop Town, like you said, Hoop Fest, a lot of things happening in, you know, in the parking lot area, in the neighborhood, you know, coaching seminars, just a great way of bringing professional basketball to the city.
Jones, we're gonna go to the rim, takes tons of contact. Foul on the ground, Jones repping the 9-5. Couple minutes gone so far here in the second quarter. Mamba on the comeback trail, riding a 2-game winning streak. As Jones right there, Parolin denied. 2-on-1, notice right to the cup. A little bit too strong. Parolin cleans up the garbage.
You gotta love that. I mean, those were some of the things that you try to teach younger players. Don't assume that player is gonna make that basket. Great follow-up. You know, defense did enough to disrupt the first layup, but not enough to get the finish.
Jones lost it for a moment, able to finish it off. A revenge game for Tevian Jones. Looking to do damage against the team that dropped, and here's Jalen House. Looks like he's not quite comfortable out there. Left the game early, nursing that ankle, and here's Dunn Martin from a different area code. My goodness, Coach Julius wants to talk it over. No one checked Tavian, and he makes them pay. And we're gonna head to a break, folks. The Mamba down 14, 38-22. You're watching CEBL basketball live on CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CEBL Plus.
At Cal Tire, we're here to drive the best value around with free rotations, price match, 0% financing, and free flat repairs. We take care of it all for the life of your tires. Chat with our team at caltire.com.
redtag.ca. You don't just fuel your body, you fuel your drive. We're not here to preach hustle. We're here for the ones who show up. You know who you are. The moms who make mornings feel like magic. The runners lacing up before the scroll. The dreamers writing it down before it's real. And we're here for you. Real fruit, real fuel. Booster Juice. Fuel for what's next.
Beautiful drone shot high above Kelowna. For those who aren't familiar, you got to come here. Tons of vineyards, beautiful landscape, lots of great hiking trails. And right now, as we fly high above, got to take a look at the lake. Tons of water sports. And for all the season ticket holders that made the trip from the Fraser Valley and Metro Vancouver, Cheryl, what more could you be asking for that beautiful summer shot?
That was the weather that we experienced on the drive up here. We had some rain. There's actually lightning outside for stretches today. So, you know, it's beautiful. Storms roll in and roll out like you would not believe here either. But don't forget I'm sorry, I have to talk about cherries and berries because jams, syrups, whatever, it's all available here. So Okanagan, you do things quite well.
We all love it. Myself, Cheryl, and also Chris, big fans of the Okanagan. Chris, what do you got for us?
Guys, despite being up 16, Kyle Julius tearing a strip off these guys, saying we got to be better defensively. Seems like that's been the theme of the year. I was talking to Kyle last week. He said quite frankly, we've been awful this season defensively, so look for them to turn up the pressure here defensively as we round out the rest of this half. Guys, back to you.
Key insight, Chris. We were at Shoot this morning, and it was not just Jalen House saying this message, but Jarkel Joyner as well. They're saying after that loss to Ottawa's backdoor cut for Tevian Jones. That's not the defense Coach Julius was looking for. They just want to respect the game and play it the right way, and right now can't give up easy baskets like that. Parolin, he can hit that three, high arcing shot, bottom of the net for Dom Parolin.
They got the Flames going that time. The defensive side of things has been one of those challenges for them. Coach Julius earlier this week, their one home practice, had made a comment about they could be really good. Not just really good, but they could be great. There's just these little things. And again, you can have 5 players that individually can do some good things defensively, but if they're not connected, and again, not being able to have a ton of practices in the last, like we said, 11 days on the road, that's part of your challenge. You're not having very physical practices. You're not getting into a lot of 5-on-5. You are working on your shots. You're working on a few systems. But they're going to look forward to this next week of training, a little bit of time off on the way home, and then really get into it because they do have to find a way to grind a little bit better on defense.
Here's notice. Checked by Bendu, making his CBL debut for this season, but being in the CBL since 2021. Out to Tyrese, high-low action. Met at the apex right there. Dom Parolin collects, too strong off glass. Nice pass from Reese to Parolin, couldn't quite convert. Inside, too easy once again. And off and running are the Mamba for head coach Isaiah Fox. This is what he wanted from his group, now stuck 14.
Well, the Mamba in this 2-3 zone here, the thing that they're going to do against this too big lineup is we don't think you can hit that outside shot. Now, Parolin's hit that shot. Mulder's just hit another 3.
4th 3 of the night for Mulder. Tyrese on an island right now with Tavian. Inside. Williams, pull up.
Yeah, Dunmartin is exploring that mismatch one-on-one there, but really not getting anything out of it. So, kudos to Samuel, who's able to find that. Tevian Jones just slashing, scoring, finding ways to get different types of looks. There's not just one scoring look right now that Saskatchewan is getting, but they for sure are finding ways a lot of different ways. That in transition off of great Dunmartin steal at the half court.
Dunmartin stripping notice, finding his teammate, and the Mamba hanging around here as the Bandits keep trying to get this lead up to 20, but the Mamba pushing back. They say it's not often how you start quarters, but how you end it, and the Mamba look like they might be on the comeback trail right here.
Well, again, it's a game of runs. We often talk about basketball being a game of runs. You're trying to sustain your offensive run as long as you can, and you're trying to shorten the other teams. So, one of the challenges that the Bandits have had, even though they are averaging 104.6, just under 105 points a game averaging, meaning that they've scored a lot more than that in several games, they're also giving up nearly 97 points a game. So when things are going well for them, they don't seem to know that the other team is able to match almost exactly what they've been doing. Let's remember that last time they played this team, Saskatchewan did score 95. So they're going to have to figure out right now, what are they willing to give up, not just per quarter. I think they have to start looking at it from, 2, 3, 4-minute stretches where they're giving, several different runs. And usually right now what we've seen, it's just little breakdowns, a little bit of a turnover to a score, then a big shot. All of a sudden, that backcourt, great scoring look from Tevian Jones out of the corner. And now all of a sudden, the Saskatchewan know that they're in this game, so you've given them life. And that's something defensively that they have to figure out. The grind part is to take the life out of the other team's offense.
Here's Joyner, fresh out of the timeout, pull up, tough shot. Parolin fighting for it, he grabs it. 10 seconds to work. Here's Parolin. Tough move, takes contact, no call. Just kind of willed it off the glass. Nice move, Dom Parolin.
Yeah, the ball was almost slipping out of his hand on that finish, so great job. 2 young players in this league playing against some really tough matchups. Nice to see them be able to find that one-on-one battle.
Fighting for it on the inside. Easton Tim, impressed with what he's doing, keeping it alive, and Bandu gets it to go. Batted around, another turnover for Vancouver. Numbers for the Mamba. Here's the swing. Tevian Jones going right to the hoop. Easiest basket of the night. Poorest defense for Vancouver.
And again, these are the types of moments in games where you feel like you're trading baskets and all of a sudden, maybe you haven't. Like you've had good scoring looks that you haven't finished. Timms tries to take the contact there, falls down, no call.
Jones on his former teammate Miller. Kopp loses it, batted around, back into the hands of Joyner. Leaves it for Kopp. Time, space. Can't get it to go. Frenetic basketball here. Corner kick out. Devontae Bandu cashes in.
You know, just like that, 7-0 run right now, 7-2 run, 7-4 run. Like these are the types of spaces where you're just letting your opponent back into this game. So 12-point lead now. Again, they've been up by as much as 21 at one point. And again, these early game leads, we've seen this in the NBA playoffs. If anyone's watching those, starting the game with a big lead doesn't mean anything with how that game is going to finish, especially if you start settling for mid-range jumpers or you don't get the defensive stops. Kopp on Tevian Jones is going to be a key matchup, the ability to stop kind of that longer dynamic guard. And one of the things that we've noticed is that Joyner wants to play fast when he comes onto the floor, but sometimes the challenge for him is that he can't play fast all the time if he's the only guard on the floor. So having that balance between what House does, House can play fast, but he can also really change the tempo of the game, slow it down, get into action. You know, Joyner's going to have to figure out how to play two different speeds here if he's going to be the primary guard today.
Joyner bringing a burst of energy for this Bandits group. Hasn't started yet, but that first player off the bench since he has signed here. There's Chaplin. Inside to Tim. Takes some contact. He's going to head to the line for two. 93 seconds away from halftime, and coming up at the half, we're going to take a look at the CEBL top 10 plays of the week. Our sideline reporter Chris Wiggins is going to interview Saskatoon Mamba head coach Isaiah Fox. We'll see the first half stats. We're going to check back in with Cheryl's players to watch as Tim hits his first free throw. 2 for 2 for Easton Tim. Joyner. Tyrese tries to gobble it up into the hands of Dunmartin. Tavian Dunmartin loves that pull-up deep three. It's going to stick with the Mamba, hanging around, down 12. Vancouver unable to extend this lead. Saskatoon winning this quarter by 1 point, 24-23. Wide open, Chaplin steps into it. Too strong. Offensive board. Can't get it to go. Tim fighting for it, still has it. Stepping around was Chaplin. And this lead back to 10, on the verge of right into single digits. Vancouver has to be careful. Notice, Tyrese has the step, gets it to go, looking for the call. Dunmartin, change of direction. Fouled on his way to the hoop. Going to be charged against Notice. Saskatoon wants to talk it over. Head coach Isaiah Fox calling a timeout right now, down 12. Looking to get this back to single digits. Chris, what do you got for us?
Another update on Jalen House. I know we're just about 30 seconds away from the half, but Jalen House is in a sweatshirt and sweatpants on the bench. He is done tonight. So he gave it a shot. His ankle earlier in the first quarter doesn't feel great. He's toast for the rest of the game tonight. Guys, back to you.
Thanks so much, Chris. Hopefully just a precautionary measure. Cheryl, we saw a couple possessions with House back in the game. Looked to find his rhythm, but you could tell not quite comfortable out there.
Well, and again, when you look at how long the season is, being able to risk an ankle injury by trying to push something a little bit more than they need to, especially because Dre Davis still hasn't returned from his injury. The precaution side of things, long-term thinking in this league is 5 or 6 days. So thinking ahead to the fact that they've got 2 games coming up next weekend, looking at, okay, well, Joyner has an opportunity right now to demonstrate what he can do on the floor. It's always curious in situations like this. We talked about House starting to find ways to find his voice and step up as a leader. Well, who's going to be the next one to step in? We've seen Mulder do that from an older player perspective in training, that kind of thing. On court, though, we'll see whose voice is heard.
Vancouver going to have some rest before that Saturday tilt against Ottawa at Langley Event Center on the 13th. Here's Bandu, 5 seconds to work. Fresh off a corner 3, can he hit this? Side rim into the hands of Kopp. Shot clock turned off, 13 seconds for Jarkel. Joyner has to go quick. Dunmartin takes it. Gonna reset on the sideline. About 4.5 here. Got to go fast once that ball is inbounded. You hear Kyle, booming voice, telling his team exactly what to do, and here we go. To notice, has some space, that's too much for Dwayne. In and out, it almost went. You can tell he liked it off the hand, but Vancouver holds on to a 12-point lead. Halftime right around the corner. And Cheryl, you said it, a game of runs. Vancouver up by nearly 20 at different parts. But right now, it's the Mamba storming back here in the second quarter. We're going to check in with our player of the half. Chris Wiggins joined now by Tevian Jones.
Tevian, 9 points, a couple of boards for you. Is it a little weird seeing your former teammates in across the other side of the floor this time?
No, I wouldn't say weird. I think it's good competition out there, and it's nice to see some familiar faces.
What adjustments did you guys make in the first half to change the momentum late in that second quarter?
Yeah, I think we had a slow start in the first as a team, but I think we stayed together down the stretch, and we really locked in on defense.
What's the key here to continuing that momentum as we get set for the third quarter coming up after half?
Yeah, I think we need to make sure we come out strong, come out together on defense, and really execute on offense.
Appreciate the time. Thank you. There is Tevian Jones, our player of the half. 9 points and a couple of boards as we send it back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Chris. Tevian and the Mamba on the comeback trail. Folks, you're going to want to tune in for a great second half. Don't go anywhere. Tons of analysis right around the corner. You're watching CBL basketball live on CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CEBL Plus.
Half-court heave for Teddy. Quickly downhill, good spot, and Teddy Allen doing Teddy Allen things at the buzzer as he gives Winnipeg a 1-point lead. And that was just too easy with 2.4 on the clock.
Got to get pressure up, got to force him to catch it going away from the rim here.
Well,
Montreal foul if he touches the ball.
Moncrief. Brampton, another chance here to try to seal him. Moncrief off the window for the ball game. The kids treated to a lesson in winning as the Honey Badgers remain perfect on the season.
Them off, and boy, the young guy shows himself. Impressive.
Matthew Moncrief
to the rebound but stripped. Tim leaking down the floor, wants to hammer it down, but Teddy Allen says put that back in your tool belt. Right back down the lane, and Teddy doing it at both ends. That prompts a timeout called.
First bucket of the second half for Teddy Allen there. That's been the key for the Mamba. They've been able to keep him off the score sheet. That means they're running in transition.
No apologies for being 6'10 and long.
Here's on Majolfo throwing it down. Oh, the Rim Reaper strikes. Oh, Majolko tossing it down with authority. Back inside the CAA Center where the Brampton Honey Badgers have a 34-29 lead over the Winnipeg Sea. Inside 10 on the shot clock. East trying to slide, almost had it picked off, and it was Bouchard in transition up to Freeman Liberty. He tosses it back, and Johnson throws it down. Welcome to the Circus Act, the Alliance on center stage.
You saw it on display right there. Great second effort from him to get a basket up and over Gabe Levin.
Good numbers off the bench for the Stingers. Good looking dunk there for Rugsy Miller-Moore.
How about a little two-hand back scratcher right now? Edmonton trying to set up defense. Rugsy says, I'll set it up for you. 2 on the run.
Got to get back and take care of things at the other end.
Now to Carey. Kyle will come set the screen. Samuel now switches on to Carey. To the corner, Kennedy, quick attack, and throws it down! Keontae Kennedy with the hammer!
Good 3 right there, and again, if you're that Calgary Surge defense, got to get back and get those hands up. Start to contest a little bit. Look out.
Gilliard putting it up, and Rugsy Miller-Moore putting it down with a little flair.
No look from EG into the hands of yet again Rugsy Miller-Moore going baseline, reverse, 2 hands for him this time.
Runchu out of Tennessee Tech recently went back to Tennessee to pick up his degree. Surge can't pick up a score there. Back the other way. That's a neat pass behind the back and put away by Mohammed to cap off a nice transition move.
How about the soft digits from Trey King there on the move, a little behind the back. Now you see it, now you don't. Good looking transition play from the Stingers right there.
The three, they can pick up the win. Here's the shot, and they'll steal the victory. What a finish. Miles Powell, it's never over till it's over. And Miles Powell with the exclamation. It's a 4-0 start to the season for the Shooting Stars. And Calgary through 4 games still in search of that first victory. Target score time showing the extremes in emotion.
Hey, that Calgary Surge defense is
What keeps me going? Under the heat of the sun or in the heat of the moment. When climbing for even one more second seems like too much. Whether you're reaching for your goal or busy setting new ones, everyone hits their limit, but that limit has a reset. Scientifically formulated to hydrate faster in the moments that matter. Electrolyte, instant hydration.
At Cal Tire, we're here to drive the best value around with free rotations, price match, 0% financing, and free flat repairs. We take care of it all for the life of your tires. Chat with our team at caltire.com.
Up above, beautiful downtown Kelowna, live from the Okanagan here at Prospera. Plays Cheryl, back and forth we go. Vancouver holding on to a 12-point lead, but the Mamba winning that second quarter. What really stood out to you as the Mamba blazing a comeback trail?
Just some of these scoring runs, 2 or 3 baskets in a row, and again, it's never, it's not 12-point scoring runs. It's just a series of 3 to 5. Scoring looks in a row that are just really easy. The ability to finish the inside. When we talked about, for our keys of the game, containing the big, with Bediako out, it's more about what happens in the charge circle. And so for them, it's taking ownership of not letting the team get in too deep, which has been happening a few times. So it's going to be really looking at points in the paint and really managing some of that. Saskatchewan, again, scoring almost 70% of their baskets in the paint. So when they get there, they're doing some damage. They're going to have to do a much better job of protecting it.
As we look at some of the highlights from that first half of action, like you think back to Mike Mulder, 4 3-pointers made, but then you also think back to the battle on the boards as well. Jalen House, of course, going down, but this team, Vancouver, still not quite there defensively, still getting beat on the glass as well.
Well, when you have a series of shooters on the floor, oftentimes the first instinct isn't to crash the boards on offense or on defense. So it really is asking some players to do a little bit more than maybe they are used to or what their role has been. But, you know, when we talked about the challenges of Dre Davis missing out on some of that size inside, you know, Mutabazi, even if he comes in, is still probably an undersized small forward, even though he's moving into a guard position. So some of the challenges are just the grit work, the dirty work, who's going to get their hands dirty. You know, we talked about the ability. One of the things that we saw when they had great defensive games is when they get defenders that get multiple touches. The ability to get a deflection into a defensive rebound or multiple deflections until it's a full stop. We're not really seeing that part, the players connected to each other, the ability to find different ways. So a great block should lead into something transition-wise. If you look at it right now, Vancouver has scored 10 points from turnovers. That's probably where you're missing Jalen House. His ability to get offense out of what happens on the defensive side of things, that's where he changes the tempo. That's where he goes from there. Joyner is the one who's bringing the ball up the floor, but he needs to also help the team initiate that from a defensive stop.
Huge load going to be on the shoulders of Jarkel Joyner here in the second half with House out. And as we quickly look at the stats, you think about the shooting proficiency from both teams. Vancouver shooting around 54%, and for the Mamba, also shooting pretty strong, around 47%. So that offensive versatility for both teams still coming through, similar to the first matchup of these squads.
Well, one of the things, again, we look at certain things that are being challenged with the addition or the subtraction of a player. 4 for 5 free throws from the Bandits going into a second half is not normally where they stand. They've been shooting a lot of free throws this season, and obviously Jalen House is a big part of that. He draws a lot of attention and creates a lot of situations for opposite teams. So one, who's going to draw that contact to get to the free throw line? Again, it's great. Okay, again, Mulder coming in, knocking down a few threes. Carolyn hits a 3, Notice hits a 3. So they have several shooters. Again, I don't think Kyle Julius is as concerned about what's happening on the offensive side of things when he knows that it's the defense that really has to help them win this game.
The Mamba looking to mount a comeback. We're going to be chatting with head coach of Saskatoon, Isaiah Fox, right after the break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching CBL basketball live from Kelowna on CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CEBL Plus.
At Cal Tire, we're here to drive the best value around with free rotations, price match, 0% financing, and free flat repairs. We take care of it all for the life of your tires. Chat with our team at caltire.com.
redtag.ca.
You don't just fuel your body, you fuel your drive. We're not here to preach hustle. We're here for the ones who show up. You know who you are. The moms who make mornings feel like magic. The runners lacing up before the scroll. The dreamers writing it down before it's real. And we're here for you. Real fruit, real fuel. Booster Juice. Fuel for what's next.
What keeps me going? Under the heat of the sun or in the heat of the moment. When climbing for even one more second seems like too much. Whether you're reaching for your goal or busy setting new ones, everyone hits their limit, but that limit has a reset. Scientifically formulated to hydrate faster in the moments that matter. Electrolyte. Instant hydration.
bring it on. It's game time. It's showtime. Oh, and it goes. Nick Hornsby. Here's Oakland for the win.
You gotta love a Canadian hoops.
Two hands. Oh, what a block from behind.
Of Saskatoon, Isaiah Fox.
Coach, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, it took us the first 5 minutes just to settle into the ball. Hit with an onslaught early. We got to do a much better job of taking care of the ball and try to run into our sets. I like the way we end up settling in. It just took us a long time to get there.
Seems like every time you got closer to Vancouver, they went on a run of their own. How do you limit those runs in the second half?
Well, yeah, we got to take care of the basketball. I mean, that's priority number one. 10 points off the turnovers so far. I think we're doing a decent job keeping them off the glass, but everyone's got to come in and rebound. Everyone's got to be committed on our team to rebounding.
Coach, appreciate your time. Thank you. Good luck in the second half. Andrew.
Thanks so much, Chris. Looking to control the glass, that size advantage favoring the Mamba already. And Cheryl, as we revisit these players to watch, like Tavian Dunn-Martin, clearly a captain for this squad. How's it all been standing out to you so far?
Well, Tavian Dunn-Martin, again, 7 points, so he's doing what he needs to do from a perspective of attacking the rim. You know, the challenge for him with those three assists is what more can he do to get other people involved. As Coach said, the turnovers is what's hurting them. The challenge with their turnovers is that it's not just one player, it's several players, so it has to be a collective effort to take care of the basketball.
And as we look for Vancouver, of course, Jalen House, another player to watch, but even looking at the keys to the game for Vancouver, House sitting in that first half for the majority of it. The keys to the game for Vancouver, home on the road, but also being efficient. How's it playing out so far?
Well, one of their things, and again, they're multiple three-point shooters. You look at the fact that Parolin has hit one. You know, Michael Mortar, he's 4 for 5 right now on the stat sheet. And so they really are going to have to look at the stat sheet for themselves and say, what part of this are we going to have to fix? You know, oftentimes you see at halftime, I've got the stat sheet right over here for the fans at home. We pour over this over half court at halftime ourselves, trying to figure out some of the solutions for both teams. And obviously with Tavian Dunn-Martin still in this game, leader of the game, he's going to have to find to get a little bit more, like we said, creating, scoring, going from there. The Bandits are going to have to find a way to finish the little jobs a little bit better. The pick and roll defense, the breakdowns, the offensive rebounds. You know, they're trading really good scoring looks for 2 or 3 fairly good scoring looks for their opponent. And as much as we know that their efficiency can be really high, they're also giving it up as well. So it'll be interesting to see now that both teams have a better opportunity. You know, obviously at halftime, the Bandits are now talking about, okay, House is out. Joyner, you're in. Starting lineup, everybody else stays the same. This is what we need to do. Coach Isaiah Fox talked about getting into their systems a little bit better and creating some of those scoring looks. But one of their biggest issues is not turning it over when they do get into their system. So I think the turnover, you know, that could be a big number for both teams kind of going into the second half, and we'll see who can take care of the ball and who can get the job done.
Tavian Dunn-Martin with 7 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists as well, and Joyner getting the bulk of the PG minutes. A team high 13 points, couple of rebounds as well, and an assist and 3 steals. Mamba very much still in this game. Their activity on the glass, their defensive prowess, looking to fuel the resurgence here in the second half. Tevian Jones, all business, as you could see in that halftime interview, locked in, 9 points. What can he do here in the second? Here's Dunn-Martin with the step. Bandu, degree of difficulty, tough shot into the hands of Samuel. And off and running here in the second. Mulder on the catch. That's a set play all year long. Misses that one, 4 of 6 from deep in the first half, 0 for 1 in the second.
Yeah, pin down screen is a really good scoring look, especially because Tyrese Samuel could slip it at any point in time. And so again, Bandu getting to the rim. Was a right-handed layup the first time down the floor, getting downhill on that left-hand side this time. So again, if you're Saskatchewan, you're feeling pretty good. It took you a while to get going in that first half. To get a good scoring look this early is a good sign for them.
Mulder right to the cup. Mike Mulder left it short. Big board for Tyrese. Couldn't quite hold on to it. Mulder hasn't gone to the rim too much this year. Just lost his balance. Met by Easton Tim at the apex. Tim filling in, like we mentioned, for Jaden Bediako. Didn't dress tonight. The leading rebounder for this squad, playing admirably so far, Easton Tim. Leads down to 10. Here's Bandu. Takes contact, doesn't go. Samuel swings. Cop. Can you cop that? Miller Cop. Wide open from deep.
You know, one of the things that we talked about, the difference between Dwayne Notice being in the starting lineup versus David Mudabatsi. Great defensive rebound. That matchup when Samuel gets picked up on that pick and roll and does that switch, oftentimes doesn't get completely beat. Dwayne Notice in that situation slides in on that help side rotation, which then ends up creating something really good. So again, offense coming from defense is exactly what the Bandits need to do in this half, limiting some of the easier scoring looks that their opponent had beginning in the first half.
And that's the pace of play that Kyle Julius wants to see from his squad. Tyrese handling the rock, getting to the rim, and a really quiet 13 points from Tyrese in the first half. Gets his 14th right there. Highly efficient, 5 of 6 from the field. Nice to see him getting some early touches.
I have a feeling we're going to have a delay of game coming shortly out of this, but we'll see what the officials do. We have some very shiny material that's sprinkling down from the ceiling onto the floor, so we'll see.
It's a party here at Prospera.
It is a party. It's a party. We had lightning outside before the game, a little bit of rain, lots of fans in the crowd. The Flames are going.
And a foul on the pick and roll, a hold of Easton Tim, who is cutting to the basket. That 3, just the first of the game for Miller Kopp, double digits in 3 of his past 4 games. Slow start to the season for Miller Kopp, rounding into form. Here's Jones, right to the basket, too easy, just clears past Samuel.
Uses his length to finish, even though he gets bumped kind of halfway through that move there. In my mind, I'm just hearing Kyle Julius's voice, do your job.
And one on the offensive rebound. Jarkel Joyner, he could feel Dunmartin on his back. He's like, I'm gonna take you straight to the cup, and he finishes strong.
Needs a minute to gather himself there. I'm not sure if he landed awkwardly on his back, but good to see him get up.
Pride of Oxford, Mississippi takes a breather. Vancouver is treading water around that 15-point lead threshold. Can they hold on to it?
You know, you had a conversation with Joyner at practice today, and he said it reminded him of home out here, and I was a little bit confused when you shared that. Kelowna and Mississippi, I'm not sure what those looks like, but I think he was just talking about smaller centers.
Like we said, Oxford, Mississippi is hometown. As of their last census, just 25,000 people, so a little bit smaller than Kelowna, which is around 200,000. Samuel trying to get the strip. Dunmartin gets it back. Here's Jones, extra pass. Jones thought about it, takes it, gets air. And even though this is a neutral site game, very much a favorable crowd towards Vancouver, and hopefully a sign of things to come. Don't want to bring up the potential expansion conversation, Cheryl, but if the 5,000 fans here in attendance means anything, I think they want a little bit of pro basketball to stay.
Well, you know what? If you talk to Kyle Julius about having to fly to play in conference teams in Ontario, having the opportunity to just drive down highways and be back that same night, the Flames are being thrown around for Samuel. But having someone a little bit closer for a home and away game, you know, that's kind of some of the benefits of having these in-province rivalries. We know Saskatchewan, you know, not that far, but again, Calgary and Edmonton, they're just down the road from each other. So there's some pros for the Bandits for sure to have kind of a in-provincial rivalry to develop.
Okanagan versus Vancouver. You gotta love it. Miller caught a little bit too strong. Tevian Jones gonna pull up. Gets his own board and just misses point blank. A rare easy miss. Wasn't even a defender at the cup, and now Mulder trying to go right to the rim. Takes contact. Good decision from Mulder. Didn't dish it out for the corner three, just takes it strong. Mike Mulder working on his most efficient scoring game of the season so far. 4 of 7 from the field in 18 minutes. Positive signs for someone who's been searching for their game a little bit.
We haven't necessarily seen him get to the free throw line a ton either, and he saw that hesitation move right before he got to the lane and realized, oh, it's still my take. So great to see other players stepping up.
In this game between the Mamba and Vancouver, another Western Conference tilt, and this year the Western Conference presented by Cal Tire. Second of 4 meetings between these two teams. First time away against the Mamba, now here in Kelowna. Mulder cans it. Martin right to the rim, leaves it short. Notice, extra pass, Cobb, corner three. Miller, Cobb, second three of the quarter. Miller, time at Prospera place. Williams, nice pass to Dunmartin. He's not going to miss that twice.
Saskatchewan has the ability to create for each other. Some really good guard forward movement there.
Mulder and Williams, no, excuse me, that's Chaplin getting tangled up, a couple of arms interlocked. A couple subs coming in here, and hey, Vancouver fans, if you didn't come out to a sunny weekend in Kelowna, you gotta see the new chapter of professional basketball in Vancouver at the Langley Event Center next weekend against Ottawa. Tickets available by scanning the QR code or by visiting vancouverbandits.ca/tickets. Mahdi. Off front rim. Off and running is Vancouver. Parallel against Townsend. Tough post up. Mulder looking for another. Quiet from deep in the second half from Mike Mulder. Williams. Kicks it. Corner Trey. Too strong. Here's John Knight the third. Quiet game thus far. Caught. Pull up. Leans into it. Leaves it short. Bandu right to the cup, met by Knight the third. Looked like a lot of leather, but the whistle's gonna sound. Gonna head to the free throw line for 2 shots, Devontae Bandu. In his season debut. On the other side of the break, gonna take his 2 free throws. Devontae Bandu, strong game for him as Vancouver back to a 17-point lead, up 68-51. Don't go anywhere, folks. You're watching CBL Basketball live on CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CEBL Plus.
What keeps me going? Under the heat of the sun or in the heat of the moment. When climbing for even one more second seems like too much. Whether you're reaching for your goal or busy setting new ones, everyone hits their limit, but that limit has a reset. Scientifically formulated to hydrate faster in the moments that matter. Electrolyte, instant hydration.
Welcome back to Prospera. Plays Vancouver up 17 in the packed house here in Kelowna. Chris joined now by the mayor of Kelowna, Tom Dias. Over to you, Chris.
Mayor Tom Dias, mayor of Kelowna. What a great weekend. The atmosphere in here is incredible. What can you say about how this has come together?
The way that it's come together is just amazing. I mean, we didn't know when we were first especially speaking with the league how it would turn out within the community, but we can just see from the atmosphere that's in this building tonight and the events that have happened throughout the town. Last night, the tournament today, the kids zone and the one-on-one downtown, everybody's just ecstatic over it.
Just an amazing basketball celebration. I know a couple of big names in the CEBL that are Kelowna-born players. Mason Boursier with the Edmonton Stingers, Grant Shepard here with the Vancouver Bandits. Clearly a lot of basketball talent in the city of Kelowna.
Oh, there is, and they both played with our Kelowna Secondary School Owls, and you know what, for them to be able to advance to this level and do what they're doing, I think it's amazing and it's great for the community. So we're just looking forward to kind of seeing what our next steps are.
Hey, the first CEBL game played outside of the Lower Mainland in the Okanagan. You guys are welcoming the BC Lions in a couple of weeks. Tell me why your city is ready for their own pro franchise.
Well, we've dedicated this year in Kelowna to the Year of Sport. And so it is the Year of Sport. We've just finished the Memorial Cup. We're so waiting for tonight's basketball game to happen. And we believe, and we're going to ask the community, but I think they've kind of given us a little bit of the answer tonight, that this could be an amazing step for our community with regards to bringing a major franchise here.
Hey, look at this crowd. What does this say about the city of Kelowna and how they showed up tonight?
It shows, but the nice thing about it is the diversity of the crowd. How many kids are here? How many kids are supporting the league? And what inspiration it basically gives them and shows them potentially what they could do in the future and sets them on a good path.
Hey, we appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of the game.
Appreciate the game being here. Pretty exciting, so thank you so much.
There is Mayor of Kelowna, Tom Dias, and we'll send it back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Chris. And Mayor Tom Dias, a Year of Sport Memorial Cup hosting Vancouver Bandits here up next to the BC Lions. And what a crowd here in downtown Kelowna at Prospera Place. Jalen Williams tries to stop the bleeding and check it in for Vancouver. The previous whistle was Kelowna secondary zone. Grant Shepard. Miller. Cobb cans it. My goodness, Miller Cobb. He's on fire.
Back to back. This is what this team needs. Kyle Julius is encouraging the crowd to get going, stop being spectators and participate, make some noise. Again, they've talked about the fatigue of some of their road trips, just all the travel that they've had to do. So for them, they need to feed off of the energy of this crowd. So obviously the crowd responding, it's so great to see, like the mayor said, players coming from the high school programs here now playing professionally. As Shepard steps onto the floor, obviously probably a lot of friends and family in the crowd. And again, just the number of young players that are playing basketball in this town, obviously from a university perspective with UBCO, the college here, they've got a lot of opportunity and platforms, the club system, the school system. So it really has done a great job of being a basketball city, and obviously what better way to celebrate being a basketball city than having a pro team in your city.
And that's a great thing that the CBL has done, growing the game across the country. And it's topical to the Mamba because recently announced for the Mamba, they're going to be hosting a game up in Whitehorse against the Calgary Surge. And that's going to be played up in the Yukon. First ever pro basketball game coming to Whitehorse. And as we look ahead for what's coming up next for the Mamba, you got to go and see them this year. Their next home game is going to be June 15th at Merlis Belcher Place. Come see the new chapter of professional basketball in Saskatoon. Tickets available by scanning the QR code or by visiting saskatoonmamba.ca/tickets as that drops for the Mamba.
21-point lead was the largest lead in the first half for the Bandits. 20 points now. But again, trying not to let this, second half of the quarters kind of slip away. And again, we talk about their rotations. The hardest part for Coach Julius when an athlete goes down, where you've kind of maybe figured out what your next rotations were. We talked about David Mudazi coming off the starting lineup, Dwayne Notice starting. It changes everything up. And then you have that on top of it, trying to figure out some of these rotations. So inside battles, possessions stay with the Mamba.
Mamba down 22. Mahadi with the rock. Out to Townsend. He can hit that corner three. This is side rim. Here's Parolin. Shepard. Kelowna kid looking for his first in his hometown. Grant Shepard gives the fans what he wants. Shout out Kelowna secondary. Homegrown talent gets on the board.
Have some fans standing up for that one. So great opportunity. We often talk about the national team and how important it is for them to get games on the home soil. And what another way to celebrate an athlete who's made it big by playing professionally than to play in your hometown.
Shepard looking for his fourth of the night. 2 for 2 from the field, up to 4 points for Grant Shepard. College ball at UBC, national champion with Carleton. If you're not familiar with him before, you better be now. A strong D on the rotation from Vancouver. Passed out of bounds by the Mamba. Turnovers starting to add up here. Isaiah Fox pointed to it, wants his team to take care of the rock, and right now every possession is going to count. Less than 12 minutes left to go in this one. Minute 38 left in the third quarter.
Well, if you're the Bandits, you're looking at what you needed to achieve in this quarter and getting a few defensive stops. Sometimes as a coach, when you review film, you look at the type of scoring looks that Mamba were getting, not finishing defensively. Were you playing better defense, or were they just missing easy takes? At the end of the day, the score doesn't change, but are you actually getting better defensively? And that's the question the Bandits are going to have to keep asking themselves, knowing that you went on a really tough road trip. You got 2 out of 3 on that road trip. You dropped the third one to Ottawa. Maybe there's some fatigue there, although they had a great comeback in that end of that game. But for them, being able to welcome some of those teams in their home gym at some point, when are they going to make their defensive statement?
In a statement so far tonight, Vancouver typically allowing 96.5 points a game, as noticed, splits a pair. So right now on pace to allow fewer than that if they can hold on to it. But Tavian Dunn-Martin certainly going to have something to say about it. Shepard with the defensive assignment. Forces Townsend to throw it up. Up court to Parolin, tough catch in traffic. Gets it to go with a ridiculous spinorama in the paint. And what a good sign for BC. 2 BC born and bred bigs, Shepard and Parolin contributing. Inside, swatted out by Miller, Kopp. Ball's gonna go back to the baseline. We've been asking for his defense. Great rotation there.
Well, you look at John Knight in the point position, Dwayne Notice on the floor, small guards, Miller, Kopp coming in. These are some lineups that maybe we haven't put together, but maybe they have been together on the second line on some of their practices. So again, you're looking at just what was said at halftime, finding those connections, a little bit more depth into how you want to finish off defensive rotations, and they've definitely responded to that.
Williams with the pull-up. Nails it. Taking Parolin to school. Down 24 are the Mamba. Fuller checking Notice. Notice wants to size him up. Just going to call his own number. Rebound goes to Knight. Loses it. Quickly up. Here's Fuller. Right to the rim. Parolin swats it. Fuller's going to head to the line for 2 shots. Sloppy play from Vancouver. Can't quite get back in time.
But if you're Kyle Julius on that last foul for Parolin, I'm not sure if you're upset about it per se. You didn't let something easy happen. Go make him earn his points on the free throw line. The fact that he's challenging everything around the rim is also part of that grit for some of the younger players. You're not necessarily coming onto the floor to play 35 minutes a game, but you better not let easy stuff happen. And here, he sends his opponent to the free throw line, and Fuller misses the first. So halfway there to being maybe not a bad decision.
These fans about to get free sandwiches courtesy of A&W. They know what it's about in Langley, and now Kelowna, you're not going to go home hungry. 2-second differential, game clock, shot clock. Here's caught wide open. Miller caught, why not? Grant Shepherd gets it, and that's going to be called a goaltend. Up around the cylinder, and Grant Shepherd remains perfect from the field, 3 for 3 in a terrific third quarter for the Kelowna kid.
I think some of the G League players are learning CBL rules on the fly here. Obviously in the FIBA game, CBL and NCAA, G League, NBA on the rim, that goaltending call is a little bit different. So it's typically a call that the players get confused and ask clarification with the refs, but
Fuller with the late quarter heave, doesn't drop. Vancouver largest lead at 26, up 83-57. It's going to take a miracle, but stranger things have happened in the world of CBL hoops. Let's see what the Saskatoon Mamba have in store. Don't go anywhere. You're watching CEBL basketball live on CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CEBL Plus.
You don't just fuel your body, you fuel your drive. We're not here to preach hustle. We're here for the ones who show up. You know who you are. The moms who make mornings feel like magic. The runners lacing up before the scroll. The dreamers writing it down before it's real. And we're here for you. Real fruit, real fuel. Booster Juice. Fuel for what's next.
Did you know that every CEBL game ends on a game-winning bucket? Yep, every single one. That's because we use something called target score ending, a thrilling twist that keeps fans locked in till the final shot. So what is the target score ending? Here's how it works. The first time the clock stops with 4 minutes or less left in the fourth quarter, the game clock is turned off. We enter target score time. We take the leading team's score, add 9 points, and that becomes the target score. Let's say it's 91-80. That means the first team to hit 100 wins. No ticking clock, no intentional fouls, just pure clutch basketball. It's fast, it's electric, and it guarantees that every game ends with a bang. Experience the target score ending this CEBL season.
By Cal Tire, and who else but a Vancouver two-handed slam from Tyrese Samuel. Your Cal Tire cruise of the game, and Vancouver looking to cruise to a big victory and a triumphant second half. The second quarter, it was all Mamba, but Vancouver winning the third, Cheryl, 29-15.
similar to what we saw in the first quarter in terms of points total, but the feel of that quarter was quite a bit different than that first one.
Woo-hoo! Grant Shepherd with a hometown throwdown. What a game for Grant Shepherd. Highest scoring game of the season now with the defensive assignment. Stopping Easton Tim. And with Grant Shepherd, just to dial back to history, you look back at his youth sports career, he's always passed the eye test, a physical athletic specimen. His pro game he's played overseas. Could be a bright spot for this team in that depth and that bench unit that we've been looking for.
Well, and again, when players are watching, looking at lineups, why are these players on the floor together? Again, Kyle Julius has gone with, Canadian bigs. And every year it's a little bit different in terms of who that Canadian impact players are. And with Dominic Parolin, Tyrese Samuel, and now Grant Shepherd, you have this, really the length and mobility, the style of play that he's looking for. And this floor seems to be getting a little bit slippery here. We've seen a few little, players hit the floor. Van Doon getting to the rim on that one. And again, it's not necessarily too little too late. It's just the Bandits are going to have to find a way to let that be the only easy scoring look and then go from there.
Samuel keeps it alive. 10 to work. Dwayne Notice going right to the cup with the left. Too strong. Tapped around as Shepherd keeps it alive. Shot clock's going to reset. making something out of nothing as Mulder and Joyner going to check back in. It was a hot first half for Mulder, cooled down in the third. 11 points in the first half, just 3 in the third quarter as Kyle Julius tells Grant Shepard, great job as he checks off John Knight III as well. Tyrese thought about it, step back. Gathers his possession out to Joyner, cans the three. The Oxford kid, straight out of Mississippi with the corner tray. Tim with a big screen, Dunn-Martin off back rim, Kopp gets the board. 29-point lead for Vancouver. Samuel. Kopp looking to go to the hoop, takes some contact, can't get the roll. Gets his own board, swatted on the reverse. Bandu to Dunn-Martin, that's too much space for Tavian. He knows exactly what to do with it, cans it from deep.
Great block at the rim on Williams, being able to generate some good offense, knocks down that three. They're gonna need a few more possessions like that though.
Joyner stripped at the cut, ends up in the hands of Kopp. Tapped around to Bandu. Williams right to the hoop. Met by Kopp, slapped him across the arm. Samuel has to be careful, bit of a frustration, hard dribble. Williams gonna head to the line for 2 shots. And you know what, Saskatoon fans, the Mamba are gonna continue their road trip in Alberta, where Tavian Dunn-Martin will lead the team against Evan Gilliard II in the Calgary Surge. The matchup is this Wednesday at the Winsport Event Center. Tip-off at 7:30 p.m. Mountain, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And for the Vancouver Bandits, the home side going to return back to Envision Financial Court at Langley Event Center, where they host the Ottawa Blackjacks, looking to even the season series. Action begins Saturday, June 13th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, as Williams hits them both. And the wave working its way around Prospera Place. In this crowd, bringing the energy tonight, getting into it, and I hope we're back here again sometime soon. Mulder. Handoff, Samuel right to the Kopp, swatted, gets it back. Foul on his way to the rim. Tyrese Samuel, 16 points, 8 rebounds tonight. Night in, night out, working on a double-double. Only missed 1 shot from the field tonight, Cheryl. 6 of 7.
High efficiency, making sure you're getting the job done when you get those opportunities at the rim. And, we looked at being able to get to the free throw line, and not as significant a number in this game, but being able to finish at a high percentage kind of sometimes eliminates the need to get to that free throw line. So
hits both free throws, 6 for 8 for the night. And that's a layer of Tyrese's game that's probably not talked about enough. He gets hacked, he's big, he's physical, but he converts at the line, so you can't really hack him just to keep him off the board.
Timms picks up his 4th foul in that last play. So again, if he's coming off the floor in a little bit of foul trouble, it'll be interesting to see what the Bandits do to maybe manage some of from the matchup. Harding looks like he's getting ready to check in here. And
nice pass inside from Samuel. Tim and Parolin fighting for it. Look at the effort from Parolin. All heart, all hustle. Knock it down, my friend. Mike Mulder. Would have been a terrific hustle play. Doesn't drop. Dunn-Martin, great move. Beautiful pass. Easton, Tim. Cue up the highlight reel for the Mamba. That was pretty. Samuel, spin move. Gets the backboard on the reverse. Chaplin, around the back dribble. Met by Parolin at the rim. Great defense. Shepard's going to check back in. Tim's going to check out. Harding and Townsend, the posts on the floor for the Mamba. Bandu. Harding. Corner three, a little bit short. Joyner collects. Inside to Parolin. Has the post up on Bandu. Lakes the matchup. Stripped. Dunmartin pulling out the dance moves. Trying to step back on Parolin. Up for the defensive assignment. As Jarkel introduces himself to the hometown crowd, everyone's okay.
Yeah, if we look at one thing that the Bandits have done a good job is not getting flipped open when it comes to what Dunmartin is trying to do off the dribble. He's exploring, he's attacking, and his best scoring looks have been that, even though that one rimmed out, his ability to get really wide open shots that are created from other players. So again, when you're missing a big chunk of your offense, you know, we haven't really mentioned some of the players other than Bediako who are out with injury, but when you have 2 or 3, 30 points worth of offense that's not on the floor tonight for the Mamba, it's other things that are going to have to create offense and obviously knocking down some of those shots. So from a defensive perspective, the Bandits are probably not satisfied yet because the game's not over. And we know that that's something that Coach Julius is going to finish this all the way through because that's something that they haven't been able to do. They're not necessarily getting ready to play this kind of game again, but they want to be ready for that next type of game where it's going punch for punch, and can they lock it down in the last, target score ending time.
Grant Shepard, my word, did you see that, Kelowna? Born and raised, throwing it down. We're going to have to see that one again.
Well, if you looked at the top 10 CBL plays, the Bandits were only represented as the team that got scored on once. There may have been a conversation about getting their name into the actual highlight part of the highlight reels. And, obviously, big game here at home for Kelowna. And we've seen Shepard in the gym with the team, but really not finding that connection piece. And it's great to find the rhythm that he gets, knowing now for Coach Julius that that's one more depth piece that he has on this roster.
Shepard with 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 shots for Jarkel Joyner. We're going to have target score time on the other end of it, and hopefully another look at that Grant Shepard poster. Joyner working on a 19-point scoring outburst, a team-high 19 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 8 of 16 from the floor, 2 of 2 from deep. It's the first. Joyner, a Raptors 905 alum in his 5th game with Vancouver, hits them both. Vancouver up by 28 points. The target score to hit is going to be 105. Don't go anywhere. It's the most exciting finish in pro basketball. You're watching the Vancouver Bandits versus the Saskatoon Mamba live on CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CEBL Plus.
Let's bring it on. It's game time. It's showtime.
Gotta love a Canadian boost.
Two hands. Oh, what a block from behind.
Next bucket wins.
Target score time is the best time of a game. The energy, the drama.
That anything can happen.
Big players step up in big time. He is cooking.
Moments away from target score time. Horizon of downtown Kelowna. Bridge, the foreground, the lake. That's wine country for you folks. And the fans here at Prospera Place having a great time. Vancouver Bandits up big. And just before the commercial break, we saw a poster from Kelowna Secondary's own Grant Shepard. A CEBL career high, 10 points tonight. And Dwayne Notice playing big minutes. Dwayne Notice been on the broadcast before in the G League, the Raptors 905, an MVP season out in Sudbury. Checking back in, says, you better be talking about me, Cheryl and Andrew. And you know what, Dwayne? Indeed, we are the captain with big minutes in the starting lineup tonight for Vancouver.
Well, you know, it's always interesting, moments of opportunity. One of the tenets of Kyle Julius's preaching, if you ever listen to him talk to the high schoolers or the developmental players, is be ready when your opportunity comes. And Dwayne Notice stepping into the starting lineup was ready. He obviously has probably heard that speech quite a few times from Coach Julius. He's been around him for so many years. But it's great to see Grant Shepard also be ready for his moment today.
Jalen Williams wanted the call, saw some contact from Shepard, but gets it to go, fights through, down 26. Here's Joyner right to the hoop, nice move, tough pass, tough catch. Misses, Notice gonna be the last one back. Williams steps, no, keeps it in, great catch, nice pass. Chaplin putting on the moves on Parolin. Lots of contact and one for Chaplin. Great start to target score time for the Saskatoon Mamba, punching first.
Well, obviously a big hill to climb here, and maybe we'll talk about mountains in the sake, might as well since we're in the Okanagan. But, you know, for the Mamba, some really good things that they were able to do today. A lot of their two-person action, their ability to create for each other, a little bit of an isolation score that gets himself to the free throw line for Chaplin. But they're looking back at this game. You know, one of the things that they're going to have to understand as they head into Calgary for their next game is, you know, they have a great opportunity to get a win. Calgary still holding on to that donut, unfortunately. So, you know, they're looking for their home win. So they're going to be hungry, and Saskatchewan has an opportunity with this roster to be able to get the job done.
Calgary falling today out on the road. And here's Williams doing himself. And you know what? Starters are going to come back in for closing time. Goose egg on the board and target score for Vancouver. As Miller Kopp going to check back in, as does Tyree Samuel. Head coach Kyle Julius is not playing around. He wants to send this Okanagan crowd home happy. Errant pass from Notice. Off and running. Here's Bandu. All of a sudden, it's a 20-point ball game. Chaplin, pull up. He likes it. 18-point ball game. Kyle Julius going to call a timeout, and the Mamba were down big and inching back to an 18-point spread, Cheryl, and what has been clicking for them with a torrid start to target score time for Saskatoon?
Well, we talked about some of the easy misses that they had in that third quarter and how maybe it wasn't great defense, just missed shots, and all of a sudden now maybe it's about making the shots that they were missing earlier. As we see some UBCO hierarchy, basketball hierarchy in the stands there. So some of your challenges, you know, if you're both teams right now, is that why are we settling? Why are we sticking back? Why are we kind of settling for certain shots if you're the Bandits? Like, go and close this out. 3 or 4 possessions in this game could be over. And instead, you're looking up and saying, how have they gone on a 10-0 run? Like, where were we? Were we not on the floor? Did we call a timeout and the only team that stepped onto the floor was Saskatchewan? Because in some ways it feels that way. It just completely disappeared. So, you know, Kyle Julius is not happy with this. If you're going to take off a group of players and the expectation of how they play or how they defend has not changed, you know, now we go back onto the floor, pull your starters back onto the floor, and now for them, they need to make their statement and get this job done.
8-0 run to start target score time for the Saskatoon Mamba. Chris, what are you hearing from the sidelines?
Well, you know Kyle Julius, a very fiery Kyle Julius during that timeout. I won't use the same language. I like my job, but he said, get some stops. We've seen some heavy comebacks in target time this season in the CEBL. Will it happen again here tonight? Back to you guys.
Mr. Target score time, it always seems to be when they need a spark plug off the bench and into the game. Jarkel Joyner certainly doing that today. Huge game, filling in for Jalen House.
Well, and again, that take was just not messing around, keeping it simple, doing some good things. Shepard, great job defensively, disrupting that scoring look.
Joyner checked by Chaplin. Tyrese looking to set the screen, has to pick up dribble, big steal. Chaplin all the way to the cup with the two-handed slam. Back to an 18-point lead. Tyrese calling for the clear out. Getting to the hoop all the way. Tyrese with the spin. He says, I'm not playing with my food. Let me eat. Recognizing the mismatch on Bandu, scoring off glass. Williams gets Tyrese off his feet. Soft lefty touch. Jalen Williams, that was pretty.
No, all we're doing is trading baskets right now. Coach Julius is just asking his players to settle down a little bit. Isaiah Fox is looking at this math saying, well, it's not impossible, but you do have to play perfect basketball when you're down by double digits. And like we've said, we've seen it before in the CBL. But Dwayne, notice, we're talking about Target Master, I think. That might need to be his new nickname, but he's finished games looking for his 10th.
Would become the 7th CEBL player in history to reach 10 target score winners. Almost did so there, fighting for it off a couple legs. Back into the hands of the Mamba. Corner tray spills out. Vancouver just looking to settle things down. It only takes one possession. Up by 21. Here's Joyner. Jarkel Joyner all the way to the cup, leaves it short. Here's Tyrese. Shepard with the take foul on Jones.
I would love to see the stats on transition defense after missed supposed target score end of basket. You know, because they know if that basket goes in, the game is over. So the shot is missed and everyone just stops playing. So again, it's kind of in Saskatchewan's favor in terms of the flow of the game right now, but the Bandits are only one basket away from this.
Folks, if you're following along, it's 103-82. We're having a slight score bug issue. Our apologies. Looking to rectify it shortly. Here's Chaplin. Deep three, doesn't go. Tapped out. Last touch by the Mamba. Kyle calling a specific play for his team. Here's Joyner. Can the hometown kid, Grant Shepard, put him to bed? Shepard wants it on the post up. Joyner. Sizing up Jones against his former teammate. Has to get it off quick. Not going to get it off in time was Tyrese Samuel. Empty possession for Vancouver. And they seize the moment, but the Mamba locking down, putting on the clamps defensively. John Knight III going to check in for Grant Shepard, leaving this game 10 points, 3 rebounds, nearly 8 minutes on the floor. Bandu open from the corner, hits it. Joyner, another chance to claim victory for Vancouver. Here's Notice, right to the hoop, doesn't get contact. Tyrese, can he put him to bed? He's going to head to the free throw line where he'll need to hit both in order to seal this one. Credit to the Mamba, not allowing anything easy. A gritty defensive effort. And overall for Vancouver, Cheryl, we talked about it, allowing around 96 points tonight, unless the wheels fall off. Looked like a little bit of a better defensive performance, but for Coach Kyle, still looking for more in the defensive end from this group.
Well, if you look at the type of scoring looks that they were giving up, there's a difference between what they got and what they finished. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, where still getting to the rim, still doing some damage in the key. I thought they did a great job of reducing the severity of the high percentage 2-point finishes.
Tyrese, 1 point away from victory. Here at Prospera plays the first ever pro basketball game played in the Okanagan. 5,000 strong here on their feet. And that's all she wrote, folks. Good night, Kelowna, says Tyrese Samuel as the Vancouver Bandits defeat the Saskatoon Mamba 105-85. And this BC crowd on their feet, a terrific performance and a bounce back win for Vancouver. And the Mamba's winning streak stops at 2 as they fall to 2-5 and Vancouver improves to 6-2.
Well, it's a testament to feeling like you've been on the road forever and not making any excuses, but letting your play make the statement for you. And I thought the Bandits did a great job of that.
Bandits shoot 48% from the field, hold the Mamba to 42% from the field and 25 from deep in a blistering barrage from the land beyond for Vancouver. 12 of 27, 44%. And got it done at the free throw line, 83% as well. And a rarity this year, Cheryl, they won the rebounding battle 48-42, potentially due to the great play of some of the posts in Samuel, Shepard, and also Parolin.
Well, when you have some size mismatches where, obviously Mamba down a few key players, especially inside, that's a battle that you have to win. The next goal, and obviously for their coaching staff, never satisfied because they know what they're working towards. Can you do that when the bigs are back in the game? And that's going to be their battle, and that's going to be their next opportunity for sure, because CEBL is coming into town, with Ottawa, and that series, that's a battle. That's the next one that they have to get.
Cleveland and Harmon did damage for the Blackjacks on the road when they took down the Bandits. We're going to be joined shortly here by our sideline reporter, Chris Wiggins, with a hometown kid, Kelowna's own Grant Shepard, your Booster Juice player of the game.
The hometown kid is right. 10 points, perfect from the floor and a couple of boards. How great was this event for you to be here in your hometown?
It's a dream come true. Never thought we'd have pro basketball here, and here we have it. See the Bandits floor here in a stadium I grew up in. I watched hockey and Cirque du Soleil and concerts here, and now it's basketball, so it's an amazing feeling. And then to get on the floor and contribute, it's very special.
Big minutes from everybody tonight. 23 from Jarkel Joyner, 22 from Tyrese. A big night for Mike Mulder to see lots of shots go down. Talk about the well-rounded effort tonight.
Yeah, we have a deep team. Kyle can rely on any of us on any given night to get the job done. So we all contributed. It was a good game.
Your city showed out, man. Talk about these fans. This place was rocking all night.
I'm impressed. I felt it was almost full. Lots of energy. I saw the wave going around. Got lots of friends and family here, and showing how they're texting me, calling me, showing all the love, and they're excited about basketball here. So I hope we can see more of it in the future.
Go celebrate that win, man. Congrats. Thank you. There is Grant Shepard, the hometown guy. 10 points. Perfect from the floor. 3 rebounds and a great effort from the Vancouver Bandits tonight. Andrew, as we send it back to you.
Thanks so much, Chris. And Cheryl, just to quickly touch on it before we go to break, Grant Shepard, big minutes tonight, perfect from the field. Does this change maybe how the rotations look for the Bandits as they get ready for this next homestand?
It's just one more tool that you can go to. If you look at House parachuting in right before their first game, then Joyner parachutes right in before the game that he starts in, their players had to come in and make sure that they were ready.
And for Shepard, a big game, but don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to be touching on a lot more post-game analysis. Your Booster Juice player of the game, Grant Shepard. Vancouver Bandits winning this one by 20. Don't go anywhere. You're watching CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CEBL Plus.
Let's bring it on. It's game time. It's showtime. Oh, and it goes. Nick Hornsby. Here's Oakland for the win.
You gotta love a Canadian boost.
Two hands. Oh, what a block from behind.
redtag.ca.
At Cal Tire, we're here to drive the best value around with free rotations, price match, 0% financing, and free flat repairs. We take care of it all for the life of your tires. Chat with our team at caltire.com.
What keeps me going? Under the heat of the sun or in the heat of the moment. When climbing for even one more second seems like too much. Whether you're reaching for your goal or busy setting new ones, everyone hits their limit, but that limit has a reset. Scientifically formulated to hydrate faster in the moments that matter. Electrolyte, instant hydration.
Closing time from Prospera Place. The Vancouver Bandits improving to 6-2. And if you love what you saw tonight, you can catch more CEBL action as the next CEBL broadcast is tomorrow, taking place in Montreal at the Verdun Auditorium, where the Alliance will host the Edmonton Stingers. Both teams are tied with 2-4 results, yet Edmonton stands on the third seed of its conference, while Montreal stands last on the eastern side. Tip-off at 4 p.m. Eastern, live on CBC Sports, CBC Gem, and CEBL Plus. And for Cheryl, Vancouver going to head back to their actual home court, Langley Event Center. They have 2 home games facing off in a revenge match against Ottawa. And then for the first time this year, the Scarborough Shooting Stars coming to town with their 5-1 record.
Well, we saw what happened when Edmonton came to town, and they got that chance back. I'm really excited to see what they do with Ottawa, because I do think they let that game slip away. So, you know, this is the nature of the beast when it comes to CBL. You're going to have some really tough home games. You're going to have some multiple game road trips. And your opportunity, and right now what their opportunity is, to stay ahead of the other teams in the West.
Not going to be easy. Still have yet to play Winnipeg, of course, but a big bounce-back win tonight. You look at Jarkel Joyner coming in, filling in the load for Jalen House, Grant Shepard as well, steady minutes off the bench. And before we wrap here, you mentioned Kyle Julius does not think this team has reached its ceiling yet, but the potential going forward, that secondary unit, rotations, may be starting to gel a little bit better.
Well, it's really about the buy-in, and that's what they're looking for all their players. Buy-in on an offensive perspective, which I think everyone always wants to buy in on offense because everybody wants to get onto the floor and play. But now it's about the buy-in on defense, and not just how you handle your matchup, but it's really about the defensive rotations. I know that one of the challenges of going on these road trips and not getting a ton of practices is that you really just don't have a chance to stop and go through some of those scoring looks. So that's something that's going to happen over the next few days. But they've got a week to make some fixes, and we'll see what the product is coming up in the next few days.
And for the Mamba, dropping at 2-5, a quieter night overall for one of our players to watch in Tavian Dunn-Martin. Still need to get a status report on when Jaden Bediako's going to be back. But in this Western Conference, you have the top-heavy Bandits, but then there's that middle, and then you have Calgary at the bottom. Still time for head coach Isaiah Fox in this group to make their way forward in the playoff contention.
Well, 4 of the 5 teams make playoffs with the new format this year. So, you know, you're not looking at it going, oh my goodness, what do we do? Again, you had back-to-back wins against tough conference and out-of-conference teams. So for them, they're really going to have to look at this being, okay, well, we just played the top team. Now that we know that we can play with them, we just needed a little bit more of our offensive firepower. I think good things for both of these teams.
For everyone who joined us tonight for the first ever pro basketball game played here in the Okanagan at Prospera Place in downtown Kelowna, thank you so much for joining us. Vancouver emerging with a big 105-85 victory. You got to tune into the next one as the Bandits return to Langley Event Center for a rematch against the Ottawa Blackjacks on Saturday, June 13th. Until then, you can catch more CBL action tomorrow. As we said, Montreal back at the Verdun Auditorium. But for everyone here, thank you to the entire team up in the booth. Chris Wiggins on the sidelines, my partner Cheryl Jean-Paul. I'm Andrew Savory. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time. You've been watching CEBL Basketball live on CBC Sports YouTube, CBC Gem, and CEBL Plus.